room when I'm in the back. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. There's enough for all of us. Did you feel it? Maybe it'll turn on. Hello? Can you hear me? I told you that's what you get. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Are you guys tired? Come on. Oh. Well, thank y'all for coming while they get this set up. Yay! It took us a minute this morning. Well, thank you. I'll try to be fast and I'll try to be fun. So I'm Charis Moreno. I am with Trulia. I've been with Trulia now for about 4.5 years. Where y'all going? All right. Y'all want to go potty? No, you have to wait. That's what I tell my kids. You go before you leave the house. Okay, so anyway, before I get started, I'm going to ask one question. Actually, I already know the answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway. How many of you in here have heard about the Remax Llc Partnership with Trulia? Oh, good. So some of you open your email. That's good. All right, so just really, really quick, I'm going to go through that, and then we will get into what I have to talk to you about. And it also goes a little bit deeper for you. But we have partnered with Remax Llc, and what that does for you is it provides premium profiles for every single real estate agent that is within Remax Corporate. What that means is every single one of you in this room should have a profile on Trulia. And you access it by going to Trulia.com. In the upper right-hand corner, you click sign in, and then put your email address, and then if you don't know your password, just forgot password. Anyway, what that means is every single one of you have the Remax logo associated with your profile on both the search page, and then once I click into your profile, it also provides the branding on the inside of the profile. So it's not clickable to Remax though. Our goal is still to make sure that everything stays within the agent, so you cannot get to Remax LLC off of it, but it is a benefit for you. So I just wanted to make sure you guys know about that. And if any of you are interested in your own company logo on it and not the Remax LLC, just let your broker know, and they should know how to, they should know how to get a hold of me. So today we're just going to talk a little bit more about what Travis spoke about. I'm going to come in and beat the dead horse to make sure if you didn't realize that you're supposed to follow up with leads and you didn't know anything about millennials, I'm just going to make sure that I beat that into your head a little bit more. And then I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Trulia. There's a lot of confusion, a lot of things that we don't really understand about Trulia and Zillow and Realtor and how we're all different. So I hope today to be able to clear up some of that confusion. So Generation Y and the millennials. So technically a millennial is someone defined born after 1980. So how many of you in here were born after 1980? So it's like 3 of you. Okay, and some of you are lying. So I'm a wannabe, some of you are wannabes. But anyway, they are really the connected generation. They are the largest generation on earth. They will outspend the baby boomers. And all of you, most of you, I won't say all, are baby boomers. There are 80 million of them in the United States, and they have $200 billion in buying power. They make up 1/4 of today's workforce. So they are important. They're arrogant, they're cocky, and they are important. Okay, and they know a lot more than you. At least they think. So then when you look at the evolution of real estate, how many of you in here remember the big books, the MLS books? You had bigger biceps then? Yeah, okay. Killed more trees then. Then the internet came, right? We got on the internet train, and some of you stayed back at the station, didn't want to get on, and then you saw your friends having a little bit more success, and then now all of a sudden some of you are figuring out the web, and your consumer has already moved to mobile. And mobile has fundamentally changed the way in which we engage with buying and selling things. We use our phone to text more than to call someone. How many of you ever thought that would be possible? Okay, when I'm getting text messages from my 88-year-old grandmother, it's interesting. Well, not anymore, but anyway. So in 2005, does anyone know what happened in 2005? A lot of things. That's the Vatican City. Before we were waiting for a pope to be announced. What do you notice between 2005 and 2013? Cell phones and iPads. So 90 million Americans will use a tablet device in 2014. I think that number's small now. I definitely think it's going to grow. 31% of adults prefer to be reached by text message than being called. That's the other thing you have to understand when you're dealing with these people. If they call you, you call them back. If they text you, you text them back. If they email you, email them back. But many of real estate agents, they decide that if they text them, oh, I'm just going to call them. Well, just because they gave you their phone number in a text doesn't mean they want to talk to you. Because if they wanted to talk to you, they would have called you. It's like what I tell my mom. My mom will text me and I don't respond right away. And what happens? She calls me, hey, I sent you a text. Well, that's nice. That's why you sent me a text. I don't want to talk to you. Okay, so they're not restricted by geography. So how many of you in here say, oh, I'll do it when I get back to the office? You all say it, right? A lot of you. Don't say that to someone that is born after 1980 because your office is in your pocket or it's in your purse. And they're not going to understand that. You have to connect on their terms, which is what I just said, right? If I text you, text me. Call you, call you. Let's see. And they want you to talk to them when? Now. But how many of you like to eat and sleep and maybe be with clients, right? So what do? How many of you in this room put your out of office on to let people know that you're not in the office today? At least one of you. All they want is a response, letting them know that you're busy and that you'll be with them as soon as you are able. So just let them know. So this one's exciting for me because it really kind of talks about a lot of what Travis was talking about is that that time in which they make the decision and they're looking, and then all of a sudden, you know, the internet was plugged in, and then all of a sudden your business should just shoot through the roof. No, it's no different. Offline prospecting is no different than online prospecting. How many of you like to exercise? Liars. You do not like, no one likes to exercise. Okay, we all do it because it makes us feel good later, but no one likes to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and say, oh, I feel like running 5 miles today. So I hear some of you talking about and asking questions about prospecting. Prospecting is like exercise. You don't want to do it, but you have to do it in order to grow your business. It is a necessary evil. So when you look at the consumer, as a buyer and a seller, they're thinking for a year and a half, and they're researching online of whether or not they should buy or sell their home. And they're looking on your website, they're looking on Remax.com, they're looking on Trulia, they're looking on Zillow, they're looking on Realtor, they're looking in the MLS, they're asking their friends, they're talking to their neighbors, they're on Facebook, right? Talking about these things, they're on Twitter. But they spend a year and a half thinking about it and researching it, and then in one day they choose an agent. And that just seems silly. One of the most important decisions, biggest investments that they're ever going to make in their life. They're going to spend a year and a half researching it, that's good, but then they're only going to interview 2 to 3 agents and pick one. It's unbelievable to me. So the question for you is, what are you doing in that year and a half to nurture those consumers that are searching and asking questions? And it's interesting, and a lot of people don't really look at the fact that as a realtor or as a real estate professional, it's all about today, right? If you can't make a closing today, you may not be able to pay your mortgage. No one talks about that. And so that makes sense as to why you're not spending your time making 45 calls today and then adding another 15 on it tomorrow and another 15 on it the next day, and by the end of the week, you're in the office all day making phone calls, right? So I understand that, but it's still part of the job, and again, it is time management, getting those CRM systems. But here's the most important slide, in my opinion. If you respond to a lead within 1 minute of it coming in, you increase your chances of converting that lead 391%. So I'll ask you again, how many of you like to eat and sleep and spend time with your family? So what are you going to do if you can't reply in that 1 minute? Well, there's a couple of things you can do, right? For one, put an out of office on, letting the consumer know that you're busy. If you're driving and you can't respond to that text message, if you have AT&T, there's an app that will actually, if you're over 35 miles an hour, it will let them know. I'm driving, and then whenever I get to a place that I can stop, I'll reply back. You can customize that. There are apps for everything. There are apps for things that I wish, there aren't apps for things that I wish they had for, but anyway. So, if that made any sense at all. So from 1 minute and then to 2 minutes, it drops to 160%. Just for 1 minute that you don't reply to that lead. So when you talk about the online leads not converting, and you talk about, I'll just use Travis's word, that online leads are crap, right? It's because we're not replying in time. And then you have to think of the average consumer, and I can only speak for Trulia. They spend about 18 minutes on our site, so we have #1 time on site. And they send on average 8 leads per visit. So do the math, right? In 1 minute, in my first minute, I send a lead, and then, fast forward, and I'm now at, 12 minutes, and I've sent a total of 6 leads. But if the person that got the 3rd lead 4 minutes prior replied already, you don't even have a chance because they've already replied. And you just have to keep working the system. And it's amazing to me that if you had your print advertising and you send 5,000 mailers and you got 1 reply, you said, ooh, it worked. And here online, the sky's the limit. And when you're on sites like Trulia and Zillow and Realtor, those are online real estate consumers. They're not shopping to buy a car, they're not looking at Victoria's Secret, they're not doing any of that, right? They are there for real estate. They are more qualified on those sites than they are even in the paper. So you have to respond fast. So let's go from 1 minute to 2 minutes, and then let's go to a reasonable amount of time. How many of you feel that you can reasonably reply to your online leads within a half an hour? Yes? No? Only 5 of you? Okay. Well, if you don't, it drops it down to 62% probability of conversion. So you have to reply and reply fast. Because if you don't, your competitor is, and it's really, really important. So why Trulia? Why did Remax choose Trulia? Well, first of all, how many of you in here know who the #1 real estate website is? Just say it. So I heard Zillow and Realtor. No Trulia. Ye of little faith. But that's okay. It is Zillow. Zillow is #1. Trulia is #2. Yahoo Real Estate is #3. And Realtor.com is #4. And a lot of people, and I used to be there. I worked there 7.5 years. I was their VP of sales. And I think there's something to do with me leaving, because I'm with Trulia. They were #12. Now they're #2. I was at Realtor. They were #1. Now they're #4. I'm just saying. 35 million unique users that come to Trulia each month, and we pride ourselves on a transaction-ready audience. So 70% of our consumers plan to move within the next 6 months, and 65% of them are not yet working with a real estate agent. So that's really good, viable consumers that are on our site. To get them in touch with you. The other thing is, it's more than the listings. Now, when I first got into this industry in 2003, and I know for some of you that's not that long ago, it's only been 10 years, but I remember it all being about the listings, right? It was about the data. That's our listings, blah, 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 blah. I've heard it 100,000 times, and that's fine, and I completely respect that. But now, today, the consumer demands more than the data. Okay, and you know this. So they want things like commute times. I live here, I work here. How long am I going to be in the car? Or if I want to move into this neighborhood, what type of amenities are available? Where's the closest grocery store? Where's the closest freeway access? All of that is available on Trulia, whether you're on our mobile apps, our iPad apps, or I guess tablet apps, and then on the website. Crime statistics, that's kind of important when you're looking into a particular neighborhood. Stay away from the red zone. Green is good. But then disaster zones. We just recently, within the last quarter, launched disaster zones. So am I in a flood zone? Am I in an earthquake zone? Why I live in California, I'm not sure. What's near me? Where are the schools? And so on and so forth. So this is why consumers like Trulia, we are consistently evolving, and our client, yes, is the real estate industry, but #1 and foremost is the consumer. Because we believe that if we can get the consumer to stay on our site, then we have a higher probability of driving them back to you, the real estate agent. And we are one of the only sites that does not charge you to enhance your listings. And Dana, right? I got it right. She mentioned free leads. Now, sometimes free, it means no value, so I can understand that too, but we do believe in providing leads back to the listing agent. So whether you participate in Trulia paying us or not paying us, claiming your listings or not claiming your listings, your leads will be driven back to you as the listing agent, as long as we're getting it back in the feed from your, which we are, because Remax International sends your feed to us. So we're one of the only ones that does that. We also are one of the only ones that allows you to enhance your listings for free. We don't believe that you should have to pay in order to give the consumer more than 25 photos or more property descriptions or let them know there's an open house on that weekend or adding a virtual tour. So all of that is free to every single one of you. Our mobile is bar none the best. I mean, I'm a little biased, but it is. So if you look at our total traffic, 1/3 of Trulia's traffic comes from our mobile, but more than half of our leads are generated from our mobile site. So that is a huge benefit to you because we know that the consumer on the mobile is a lot further down the funnel than the consumer that is browsing on the web. So you have a much higher probability of converting that mobile lead for a couple of reasons. If you claim your listings on Trulia, again, even if you don't claim them, you're getting the lead. But if you do claim your listings, then you're going to be one of those agents in the, I call it the four-headed horseman. And I can click to call you, and it's called out. You are called out the listing agent. I'm more likely to call the listing agent than an agent that doesn't know anything about the property. So the mobile, as I said in the beginning, it's fundamentally changed the way consumers are buying and selling things, but it's also changed the way in which they are looking for real estate. So I may not even be ready to look for real estate. Maybe I'm thinking about it, but then I drive into this really cool neighborhood and I'm like, wow, I think I could live here. And so then I pull out my mobile phone or I pull out my tablet and I say, I wonder what the homes are worth in this, or I wonder what homes are for sale in this market, because we don't have Zestimates on our site. So we leave that up to the professionals, and we actually say if you want a real CMA about your property, you need to go directly to the real estate agent. What a concept, it's so weird. All right, so we can see if I'm searching and I actually like a home, I can like it. And then by liking it, every time that listing changes something, whether they add an open house, it'll push the open house information to me. I didn't even ask for it. I'm like, oh, it's open on Sunday, that's great. Or it had a price drop. Oh, it had a price drop, and it'll tell me this listing dropped 10,000, right? So it emails me alerts, and it's the same thing as if you push your stocks or you push anything else that you want to notify. So the mobile allows, you don't need to search for it, it pushes and it finds you, right? Are we bored yet? Oh, good. All right, so let's get into any question. Well, I don't have time for questions. I took questions earlier and I ran out of time. Okay, so accelerating your success with the Remax and Trulia relationship. So the first thing is this is what your profiles should look like. If you're doing what you're supposed to be doing and you fill out your about you and your experience and your skills and you're claiming your listings and you're talking about your service areas and you're getting recommendations, your resume, online resume would look like this. How many of you pay hundreds and thousands of dollars every single year to get your website to the top of Google or Bing or Yahoo? None of you? A couple of you. Okay, how many of you would like to get there without having to pay? You guys all better raise your hand. Okay, why don't you have a Trulia profile? That's what it does. There are so many follow links. If you blog, if you want to answer questions from consumers, if you're a Trulia profile for free, I guarantee you if you do it right, we'll get more website visits in a month than your entire website has in a year. If you do it right, and I've seen it, and some of you are shaking your head, which means you know what I'm talking about. We know agents with 100% complete profile on Trulia get 20 times more views to their profile than agents that don't. So obviously the more information you have about yourself, and I want it not just about your real estate career. I want to know that you're a human being. I want to know that you like to ride horses. Well, you're all in Texas, you probably all like to ride horses, but maybe you like to run or you like to bake or whatever. I know, I'm just kidding. I can say that because I'm a Texan. That's the only reason why I could say that. So the number one most sought after piece of information online is reviews about an agent. And we're so afraid for someone not to like us. It's so sad. Not everybody likes me. I don't know why, but not everybody likes me, and I'm okay with that. And as a realtor, you should be okay with that too. But Trulia has you covered. We don't ask for reviews because you can't review a person like you can review a steak, right? So we ask for recommendations. So if you and I did business together and you didn't like the way I conducted myself, and I sent an email for you to recommend me, if you didn't like it, you just wouldn't recommend me, right? So that's why we use recommendations. And you can get recommendations on your Facebook, you can add old recommendations, and you can request recommendations. If you go to your Remax University, there's gonna be some trainings. You're gonna get a lot of me because I'm on those videos. And so you can see how to do that. Otherwise, we have resource library. We have so many trainings on how to get recommendations. But how many of you in here have chosen a restaurant or chosen a pair of shoes or chosen a particular store because someone recommended it? Right? All of you, at least once. It's the same thing here. So if you are social on Trulia and you connect your Facebook and someone writes a recommendation about you and you connect it to your Facebook and then all of your friends like it and then their friends like it and all of a sudden everybody likes you. It's such a great feeling, right? So agents that get recommended on Trulia get 2.5 times more leads than agents that don't have recommendations. Why? Well, it's simple. If people like you and they want to use you for the business, then they're more likely to want to use you as well, if that made sense. Okay, so 75% of online reviews play a major role in the decision of the person that's searching as well. And that is something that the millennial looks for. They want to know how that business is doing or what that product's like. They want to know the good, the bad, and the ugly in order for them to make a good, sound decision. And obviously, I personally, anyone that has 5 stars, I stay away from them because no one's perfect. Except my husband, that's what his mom says. But like 4 to 4.5 stars, that's good. That means that person, most people like them and they probably do a decent job. So think about that. The number 2, and this is interesting because this is a non-disclosure state. And I got drilled a little bit earlier and I got some of those questions answered. But number 2 is transaction history of an agent. How many of us love the number 1 agent that's never done business in that market before? Some of you, come on. Okay, so you know the 300 by 250 ad, number 1 agent, sold the most homes, but they never sold anything? They're awesome. They're great to work with. Well, the benefit of Trulia's claiming your sold properties is it allows the consumer to actually see where you've done business. So if you do say that you work the Woodlands in Houston, but you've never sold a listing in the Woodlands, well, guess what? I'm not going to use you because you probably don't know that much about the Woodlands. Now, Texas being a non-disclosure state, we do not disclose price. Okay, so even if you put your listing, if you claim your sold history or listings that you've sold in the past, we don't disclose the price. Even if you accidentally put it in, it'll actually give you a big giant red box that says, even though you've supplied this information, Trulia will not disclose it due to you being in a non-disclosure state, or something like that, don't quote me. So, this is what it would look like on the sold data on Trulia, so price history, obviously, actually let me just skip ahead. I went ahead and slid this in because you are a non-disclosure state. You'll see here, price not disclosed, agent reported price not disclosed. But you're still getting that free advertising on the transaction history on the sold listing on the site. So if I clicked Ed Brooks, it will take me to Ed Brooks's profile page on Trulia. So claim your properties if you can. If you don't, your competitors are. And if you want to be at the top of the real estate directory on Trulia, you need to do 3 things. Number 1, make sure your profile is 100% complete. Number 2, make sure you get recommendations. Number 3, claim your sold transactions. Let the consumer know where you've done business. Okay? If you want to be the top seller of this year in Sugar Land, Texas, because I grew up around there, so Beaumont, Texas, that's where I grew up, so I know those cities. The only way to get there is to say that you've sold those homes. If you sold 15 and I only sold 3, you're going to go first on the homepage of Trulia. Okay, so this is the homepage of Trulia. Relocation specialist, in order to be there, you have to indicate that you are a relocation specialist. And in order for you to, and the same thing with first-time buyer expert, the only way to get there is to do the 3 things I said. Do you remember them? Should we say it together? No, I won't embarrass you. Okay, so other things. You can do other things on Trulia to get more exposure. I'm going to go really fast through here, but if you have any questions, I do have a team outside the doors because I'm going to skedaddle as soon as I'm over because I have a 6 o'clock flight. No, I'm just kidding. It's 8 o'clock. Although I did just get an email that says my flight's delayed, so boo. Okay, anyway, so Trulia Pro allows you to feature your listings and to put your information on your listings, letting people know that it's just you, and it gives you exclusivity on your listings. That means no competing agents, no competing brokers, and no 4-headed horsemen. Okay? The next thing is local ads. That's our lovely zip codes. Everyone loves to buy the zip code ads. This is on the website. Those are local ads. And then mobile ads. Mobile ads allow you to be the top agent or the agent in your zip code for when consumers are searching on mobile. So all of those agents in your market that don't buy featured listings, you can appear in what I call IDX leads. You can get leads off of their listings. Okay? If you're a Trulia Pro agent, they can't be on your listings, but you can be on theirs. Isn't that unfair? Okay, so how many of you go to the Remax Training or the Remax University page on Remax? Okay, so these are the videos that we've shot, maximizing your profile, boosting visibility to your listings, building your reputation, how to convert online leads. So make sure you check those out. And then we also have a training resource library. So if you want this link, you probably are going to want to tell the guys in the back, and they can get your information to me and we can send it out, or at least have your broker email me directly, and I can make sure that your broker gets that information to share with everybody. And then of course other training resources. Trulia does monthly webinars. Sometimes I do them. We have another team of people that do them. If you want a webinar in your office, I can either come out. If you're big enough, sorry, but I live in California and it's expensive to come out, but we do webinars. And then also we do have some field training reps that are local around the country, and we can definitely see if we can get someone in your office. Otherwise, I always like free trips to Texas because this is where I'm from. All right, so what we learned today, okay, maximizing your resume, making sure that you bring the word of mouth marketing online by getting recommendations and claiming your sold properties and all that fun stuff, showcasing your local expertise. How many of you use the agent app? Not the consumer app, but the Trulia agent app. Okay, so some of you might not know about it. So if you search in the Droid or Marketplace, or you search in iTunes, we have 4 apps. We have the Trulia mortgage app, consumer app, rental app, and agent app. So if you download the agent app, every time you're on broker tour, you walk into a listing, you check into that listing. Okay, that lets the consumer know how active you are in the marketplace. Okay, so make sure you do that, because that is also something else that will give you visibility on Trulia, whether you pay us or not. Did I go fast enough? Okay. Do I have time for like questions or no?
Maybe just 1 or 2. Sure.
If you have any, yes, ma'am.
Not claims or sold listings because of the non-disclosure. Can you now go back now that you know that?
Yes. So if you go into your profile under My Listings, you have 3 tabs. You have For Sale tab, For Rent tab, Sold tab. If you click Sold tab, you put in the full address. Sometimes the MLS ID works. I always recommend starting with the full address, and then it'll pull it up. And then once you claim that one, it may say, did you also sell these? And if you want that green verified stamp, you have to put in the agent that you sold it with. And then once they verify it, you get the green stamp. Otherwise, it just stays there. Now, Texas, because it's non-disclosure, we can't compare it to public records. So could you theoretically, and I'm going to open up a big can and then I'm going to leave. Could you theoretically claim sold property? Yes, but you do have to put the agent that you did the business with. And agents are the best policemen, the best. Any other questions?
Any other questions? I thought there were 2 hands.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, so as a team, I would imagine you probably have a single email that you guys use as a team for inbound leads, hopefully. If not, create one. Make that your primary email address. And then you want to make sure that if you have listings or anyone else on your team has listings, that all of those email addresses are the secondary, third dairy, fourth dairy, fifth dairy, how big your team is. Make sure all of those email addresses are in your profile. And then if you do that, then we claim based on email addresses. So if you have 5 listings and I have 3 listings, but both of our email addresses are in your profile, it should, theoretically, if technology works right, claim all of those listings to your team account. Theoretically. Anything else?
Any other questions?
Oh, I must have done a good job. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you, guys.